In less than 24 hours, Fed Chair Jay Powell is going to be taking the podium at the central bank's annual conference in Jackson Hole, Wyoming tomorrow. Now, Powell remaining a key catalyst potentially for the markets, and what he says could really send shockwaves for stocks depending on what he says. Now, for more on what to expect from that speech, we want to get to our Fed correspondent, Jennifer Schonberger, joining us live from Jackson Hole. Jennifer.
Good morning, Shauna, live here from Jackson Hole. Indeed, all eyes will be on what language Fed Chair Powell could use in his big speech slated for Friday morning. If the Fed minutes released yesterday were any indication, Powell could take things further. In the Fed minutes released on Wednesday, they said that, quote, the vast majority thought that if data continued to come in as expected, it would be appropriate to ease policy next meeting. Given that strong language used in the minutes, which are now 3 weeks old, and that inflation has continued its downward trajectory, just as the job market continues to cool, Powell could strike a stronger tenor for September while still leaving some wiggle room. Look for anything around gaining greater confidence. Benson Durham over at Piper Sandler saying that Powell could implicitly update the FOMC statement with language along the lines that the committee is gaining greater confidence that inflation is heading towards 2%, tweaking that key language in the statement from January that, quote, the committee does not expect it will be appropriate to reduce the target range until it has gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably towards 2%. Now, the minutes said that recent data had, quote, increased confidence inflation is moving sustainably back towards 2%. So again, looking for any clues on that from Chair Powell. Also, look for anything that the Fed chair says around the job market. Officials now looking at risks to both sides of their dual mandate as equally weighted. And given the cooling that we've seen in the job market, that is very much factoring into September's decision. Back to you.
Certainly, Jennifer. And we also know from the Fed's Patrick Harker this morning also saying that if the data comes in as expected, a September cut could certainly be on the table. So we'll be monitoring all of the Fed speak. And I know you'll be bringing us more reporting from Jackson Hole. Thanks so much for being here with us this morning.
Yeah, and it's really just a difference between 50 and 25 at this point. And I think that if it's going to be 50, it's going to be because we have a weaker jobs report for the month of August. And just by the way, anecdotally, I ran into Fed Chair Powell in the lobby yesterday, and I said, are you ready for your big speech on Friday? And he says, oh, I'm not giving a speech this year. Jokingly, of course.
Jokingly, of course, but we
always
really
keeping it real here at Jackson Hole.
We're really relying on that speech at the top of our show tomorrow, Jennifer. So let's pray he was joking.
Oh, of course.
Thank you so
he's
much.
Going to give it. He's going to give it.
Thank you, Jennifer, for joining us, and of course, we'll be chatting with you tomorrow as well.